Hello, my name is Catherine Boyle. My pronouns are she, hers, hers, and I am happy to be the acting director of family ministry here at UUCB and your worship leader today. Let us take a deep breath in and exhale out as we come together, as we prepare our hearts and minds for this special time with this special group of people. Let us come together to worship. Dear ones, far and wide through the marvels of technology and the awesomeness of IT folks, we are here together, although apart, cloistered away from each other. But do not think that a pandemic means that pride is canceled. Pride is here and now. That parade, that energy, that's in our faces, in our hearts, even in our Zoom meetings. It's in the millions of us who are gay, lesbian, bi, trans, questioning. It is in all of us. It's the energy in the streets shouting, Black Lives Matter. It is in our presence and in our fight. It is right here, right now. It is not a party or a parade that makes a movement. It is the people within it. Pride is not a month or a moment or a party. It was born a riot. Born out of brutality and violence of the police against trans and gay people of color. Pride is for the people. And for the people who were told to just be normal. To shut up, to behave, to sit down and be quiet. No, we will not be quiet, because no one is free until we are all free. So decades after Stonewall, we are still rioting for freedom, for equality, for justice, for our brothers and sisters, siblings of color. It is still a riot. It will still continue to be a riot, because like a rainbow across a sky after a thunderstorm, a riot cannot be ignored. We will not be silenced. This systemic bigotry and racism and hatred, we will be louder and louder until these systems are overturned and love rules us all. So, my beloveds, let us shine on and let us worship.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the UU Church of Berkeley. My name is Melissa Rosales. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the worship associate today. This is a welcoming congregation, and we are always working on how to welcome and care for one another better. We usually have in-person worship on Sundays at 11 a.m., but during these days we are worshiping together on Facebook Live and YouTube. Before we really get started, please take a minute and prepare yourself and your space for our time together. Go grab a candle and a way to light it so you can join in the chalice lighting at home. Also, we hope you'll participate in the service by typing in the comments section when we invite you to do so. We continue to work with staff and volunteers to improve the technical aspects of our virtual services. If you experience any technological difficulties during the live stream of this service, please message the UUCB page and one of us will do our best to help you. None of us are professional video producers or internet experts, and sometimes problems crop up with technology that we can't control. Nevertheless, we are glad to create space with you for all of us to connect deeply with the sacred and one another. Now, please join us in singing our opening song, hymn number 295, Sing Out Praises for the Journey. Now, whether you are lighting a candle or just the inner chalice in your heart, let us kindle our flames with the words of Linda Lee Franson. We light this flame to ignite our hearts and minds, the spark of knowledge that enlightens, the shimmering hope that burns, the blazing love that engulfs our actions, the bonfire of our commitment. We light this flame for those who celebrate themselves, who fear, who hope, who persevere, who stand on the side of love for all. We light this flame for those who have been ridiculed, that they may find peace. For those who have fought to marry, that they may celebrate. For those who live in uncertainty in the world, that they may have hope. We light this flame to renew our commitment that no one shall ever again suffer for the right to love. We light this flame to celebrate the kaleidoscope of diversity, working, loving, and living on the side of love. For this, we light this flame. I now invite you to share in the comments where you are by writing, "I carry the flame in," whatever town or city you are joining us from. Please join me in saying the words of our covenant. Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another.
We now come to the time in our service for Time for All Ages. So if you are young or young at heart, I invite you to put an emoji, heart, or whatever emoji makes you happy in the chat box and listen close, because this is a good one. As we see in here, families come in all shapes and sizes. Some families have two mommies. Some families have two daddies. Some families have just a mommy or just a daddy. Some families have multiple mommies and multiple daddies. Some families are grandparents and grandchildren. There are so many different types of families in the universe as there are stars. They're all beautiful. The family that we're going to be hearing about today is, the adults in the audience may know one of the authors. His name is Kamara Brown. He is one of the hosts for the new version of Queer Eye. And the other author is his son, Jason Rachel Brown. And Jason Rachel Brown, he wrote that it had always been a dream of mine to write a story inspired by the many lessons taught by my father. When I was growing up, anytime I felt fear or uncertainty, my father would remind me that I was perfectly designed. And grown-ups, don't let that word design get in the way of you enjoying the story, because it's not about a god or creator. It's about the acknowledgement that how you are right now, whether you are gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, questioning, however you may be in all your myriad of forms, you are perfect just as you are. And I leave you with these words from Jason, and then we'll get into the story. We want the readers to never forget that being your natural self is perfect. It's beautiful in every sense. Now, let's hear the story. First, there was you, Dad. And then there was me. And now there's us. That's right, there is us now. When you first saw me, you said, "He is perfectly designed from his head to his toes." And I meant every word. Still do. When I was really little, I thought you could touch the moon. Remember that? We sit on the roof and reach for it. One day you'll be big enough to reach it yourself, but until then, it's perfectly fine to ask for help. Remember when we went as syrup and waffles for Halloween, Dad? I do. That was awesome. I wonder what we'll be this year. When I run in the park, jump in the park, climb trees in the park, and pretend to be a statue in the park, you remind me that I am perfectly designed to explore the world. You are, and you always will be. Oh, and they're having a nice picnic outside. Sometimes, Dad, when I get mad or sad or confused, you wrap me in your arms, and I like that. Me too, and I remind you that you are perfectly designed and wonderful, no matter how you're feeling. Dad, when I grow up and leave home, will you miss me? Oh, yes, very much. Will you sit on the fire escape and feed the pigeons like we do in the summer? The pigeons and the sparrows. Will you remember our favorite movies? Our favorite moves? I will. I'll try to invent some new ones too. Always. You know what, Dad? What? I will always remember walking through the city and sitting on your shoulder. And maybe when you're older and I'm taller, I can carry you on mine. Because we're perfectly designed for each other. That's right. So what's the moral of this story? You could write it in the chat box. Yeah, to love and accept yourself, accept each other. That helps the world go round. To end Time for All Ages, I invite you to write the name of somebody that you love in the chat box. All right. Wonderful. Please join in with me as we take a breath together and enter into silent meditation before our prayer. Spirit of life, energy of the universe, may we be as a rainbow, spilling beauty, joy into the world, giving hope of better days to come. Right now, we could really use a rainbow, as our siblings of color are still being murdered by the police. That as the brutality of the state continues, as the pandemic numbers rise, and as corruption grips this administration, we all could use a little bit of hope. May it be that we find that hope, that rainbow, in each other. For humanity is a mosaic of races and genders, sexualities. It is glorious in its diversity, stunning in all its ways of being. It is worth fighting for. So now we recommit ourselves to the fight, to dismantle these systems of oppression and injustice for queer, black, and brown bodies because love commands it. The fight is long and hard, but universe, we're still in it. We know that the arc of the universe is long, and like a rainbow, it too bends. We are in the midst of a huge bending of that arc towards justice. We are in the midst of a revolution for racial equity, a reckoning for this country that is centuries overdue, and we stand arm in arm to say, we fight. We fight. This is not only over. Storms rage, yet afterwards, a rainbow appears. Hope blossoms. Love wins. So may it be. Amen.
Our reading today is titled An Open Letter to Young LGBTQ plus People on this historic Pride Week by Rhea Carey and Jesse Milan Jr., posted June 24th, 2020. Dear LGBTQ young people, welcome to Pride as it began this time 50 years ago. A protest driven by our community speaking out against the impacts of oppression, inequality, and violence. As LGBTQ and HIV advocates, it is our responsibility to link arms with those in Minneapolis and across the country who are speaking out against structural racism and white supremacy. The fights in our streets today are the very spirit and essence of how Pride began. On June 28, 1970, thousands of LGBTQ people took to the street to mark the anniversary of the Stonewall riots. The first Pride Parade was born from protest and anger, a response to the violence that disproportionately targeted Black, brown, and transgender lives. And throughout the 1980s and 1990s, LGBTQ people rose out of grief and despair and demanded what was needed to save our lives. The strides we have made in fighting the HIV epidemic would not be possible without HIV advocates taking to the streets and screaming their truth to those in power. 50 years after the first Christopher Street Parade, the Supreme Court, this very month, finally recognized that our people deserve protection from discrimination at work. We celebrate that ruling. Yet, we have more fighting still to do to assure our right to survive. Our progress as LGBTQ people and people living with HIV has always depended upon our willingness to put our bodies and livelihoods on the line to stand up to the unjust and discriminatory systems that neglect us. Like the recent monumental Supreme Court decision protecting LGBTQ workers from discrimination, we know that change only comes through struggle. The structural inequalities and racist systems that led to George Floyd's death by law enforcement are the same ones that are responsible for the obscenely high death rates from COVID-19 in Black and brown communities in this country. They are the same systems that have created a disproportionately Black and brown HIV epidemic in America. Pride has always been about speaking out for our right to live and to thrive. We see pride in the thousands of LGBTQ people that have taken to the streets to declare that Black lives matter. We see pride in creative and virtual ways LGBTQ people are making to stay connected and support each other. We see pride in every HIV test and prescription for PrEP that will help stop a new case of HIV. Our community's pride and your legacy are not just one of survival, but of strength. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Let's Stop HIV Together campaign rightly focuses on how our connectedness builds the strength we need to survive and thrive. And when one of us is not surviving or thriving, our pride is not complete. Pride not only celebrates who we are, it lifts up all within our community who are at risk and that others shun and ignore. Pride is for LGBTQ people who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Those of us who are neurodivergent, deaf, and hard of hearing, blind and visually impaired, or living with a physical disability, HIV positive and HIV negative, those of us aromantic and asexual, people of faith, youth, and elders, and so many more who live at the intersection of multiple identities and who want so much to live with pride. Pride is a celebration of everything that makes us different, but also everything that makes us stronger. We take pride in how we've survived And we take pride in how we continue to show up and speak out when one of us is under attack. We take pride in believing we will get through this pandemic together too. We hope you find opportunities to learn from elders and long-term HIV survivors about how we have fought, but also that you teach us about your stories and where you see our future. Our history is being made by you every day. We see you leading us with our passion and conviction for a world that we couldn't even imagine when we were your age. And while we set a foundation, you are building a vision of queer liberation that is truly scraping the skies. Some of you have only just graduated high school and are blazing a trail we are humbled and honored to walk with you. Together we can lean on the strength of our past and on the resilience you bring as we continue fighting against racism, stigma, discrimination, inequality, and HIV in these times of COVID-19. Together, we will achieve queer liberation for all, to be able to live lives that we deserve, to be our authentic selves with our families of choice. Because this pride was the first page in the next chapter in our story.
How do you measure a year? That Rent song goes. You measure it in love. Okay, I'll spare you any more singing from me. Instead, I have 3 moments for you. 3 moments of love from my life. It is 2 a.m. I am downing another soda, maybe my 4th or my 5th of the night, and I finish it and lay back down on the bedroom floor next to my best friend. She is giggling. We are talking about every middle schooler's favorite subject, crushes. She tells me she has a new crush on somebody at school. I lean in. Tell me who? Her lips stay shut. I get closer. Rick? Nada. Robbie? Nope. Warren? Nope. Sam? Nope. None of these. Especially not Sam. My friend rolls over on her stomach and she looks me in the eye and says, "Do you promise you won't freak out? Do you promise you won't call me weird? That you'll still be my friend?" Of freaking course. Though, now I admit I was a little scared of what she was going to say. And she says one word. Jenny. I blink. Jenny? That's not what I was expecting. Jenny's a girl. My best friend nods. Yeah, she's a girl. I sit there. Jenny, huh? Yeah, I am confused. Among my fellow 12-year-olds at that time, gay was still used as an insult. But thinking beyond my middle school friends, I thought of my mother. And my mom had gay friends. And I thought, hey, if my mom can have gay friends and be okay with it, I can have a gay friend, a gay best friend. 2 years later, we all go to a dance together, and Jenny was her date, and they took their picture together, holding each other. Their love no longer a secret. This moment, this was a good practice for the heart, for the soul. Soon after my friend came out, my sister comes out as a lesbian. But that's her story to tell. The second moment is I am 18 years old. I am attending an all-women's college, It is my first semester, and I am finally away from home in a brand new place. But this is not to say that home was really happy with the choices that I made. "Why there?" squawked so many of my friends when I announced this would be where I would go. I say, well, I got a sweet scholarship. And they'd look at me and they say, "You know it's all girls." As if I had no clue what I signed up for. I know. No boys. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going there for the boys. I'm going there for the education. At school, that first month, I received a letter, which was weird, from my dad, which was even weirder since we were estranged. And he writes me to say, "I told them, my extended family members, that you are attending this institution to become a feminazi and a lesbian. Isn't your sister being a lesbian enough?" Dad. I look around the mailroom that day, seeing many young women coming and going from the student center, and I think, yeah, education was one reason. I want to write back. Tell them that I am here because I'm already a feminist and bisexual. Moment 3. I am 24. I live with my sister, and for the first time ever, we gather all the rainbow clothes, jewelry, makeup in the house, and we cover ourselves with it to attend our first Pride service together. We take a picture outside. Our faces are beaming. There's a sunburst in the far corner of the picture, and it looks like there's a rainbow in the light. Years later, we'll pull out the glitter again when gay marriage is legalized for all and sprint into celebration on the street for a day many thought would never, ever come. We came so far and still have so far to go for equal rights, for LGBTQ and people of color, for society to treat a gay black man the same way as a straight white man, for society to treat a lesbian Latina the same way as a straight white woman, for our siblings of color. I say we have far to go, and we will fight until liberty and justice for all actually means for all. Happy Pride.
These days of sheltering in place continue to be challenging for all of us in different ways. We hope you have felt the care and support of this community, and if you're joining us for the first time today, we hope you'll soon come to know what a caring community this is. We also hope those experiencing financial strain right now will reach out to church staff who can provide assistance from the minister's discretionary fund. But for those who do have the privilege of enough right now, UUCB needs your gifts now more than ever. Our board and staff are exploring many options to help maintain funding for the ministries and programs we love, but it's going to take all of us digging in deep in whatever way we can to support this congregation through the pandemic. We also hope you'll continue to practice generosity, especially with our Good Neighbor organizations. This month, we're sharing half of our offerings with Youth Engagement Advocacy Housing, or YEA, to support the good work they do in our wider community. Youth Engagement Advocacy Housing serves and supports young adults who are currently homeless. They provide shelter, food, basic necessities, counseling, individual support, and help find housing and opportunities for meaningful community involvement. No matter the amount, all offerings are given and received with gratitude. More details on how to give electronically will appear on your screen as the offertory begins. Thank you. Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service.
Our closing reading is Continue by Maya Angelou. My wish for you is that you continue. Continue to be who and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness. Continue to allow humor to lighten the burden of your tender heart. Continue in a society dark with cruelty to let the people hear the grandeur of God in the pearls of your laughter. Continue to let your eloquence elevate the people to heights they had only imagined. Continue to remind the people that each is as good as the other and that no one is beneath nor above you. Continue to remember your own young years and to look with favor upon the lost and the least and the lonely. Continue to put the mantle of your protection around the bodies of the young and the defenseless. Continue to take the hand of the despised and the diseased and to walk proudly with them in the high street. Some may see you and be encouraged to do likewise. Continue to plant a public kiss of concern on the cheek of the sick or the aged and the infirm, and to count as a natural action to be expected, except in pandemics. Continue to let gratitude be the pillow upon which you kneel to say your nightly prayers, and let faith be a bridge you built to overcome evil and welcome good. Continue to ignore no vision.
It's been so good to be together in praise and song today. Before we end our worship, here are a few important announcements. It's not too late to join Summer Chalice Circles at UUCB. From June 15th to August 28th, circles are led by experienced facilitators, early afternoons on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and evenings on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Please contact Natalie Campbell for more information. Our summer forum program has begun. Due to the July 4th holiday, there is no speaker next week, but please join us via Zoom on July 12th at 9:30 a.m. with guest speaker Andre Soto, founder of Communities for a Better Environment. Finally, our congregation voted in February 2018 to become a sanctuary church, and since that time, our accompaniment team has worked in a number of ways to assist our family of 4. Due to a recent reduction of income from the effects of COVID-19, our accompanied family could really use our help. Though these are difficult times, if each of us in the congregation could contribute just a small amount, we would be of great help to a hardworking family in much distress at the moment. If you're able to give, please contact Cynthia Asperides, a member of the UUCB accompaniment team. Now, please join in singing our closing song, number 18, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
We end our service with words from Maya Angelou from her poem Continue Once Again. Just a part I feel bears repeating. Beloved, continue to ignore no vision, which comes to enlarge your reign and increase your spirit. Continue to dare to love deeply and risk everything for that good thing. Now go forth and do the work our faith calls us to do. Blessed be.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself,